All right, good evening. We are on to webinar number 2 here. So super excited. Gonna do one more setting. Try to not have to do all this, but there we go. And so got 3 items for tonight. Had a whole bunch of you call, text, email, either John and I, which is fantastic, and we appreciate that. Had 2 different coaches reach out from the scrimmages. Everybody made it through, so that's number 1. We're on the other side, and we're continuing for this week coming up, and official games starting on Saturday. So excited about that. So 3 different items to go over. Again, for the webinar format of what we're doing, we're going to try to condense the best we can, 25 to 30 minutes of instructional, and then allow for as much time till the last person leaves. John and I will be on for any questions, along with we'll do our quiz at that point. So we're going to go straight through. We'll unmute you when we get to that second part. Again, John has the ability to talk here. So if you'd like to send him questions or throw in the chat, he'll monitor that side of it. And we will get rocking and rolling. So we see itinerary up there. One of the major areas that we got asked about this week was illegal screens versus interference, particularly what's going on in the crease. So think off ball. Let's get our kind of mindset for this. We're off ball. We're above the crease. That defenseman and the attackman or the midfielder jostling around, right? We see it every game. We see it a lot. And so the question coming from the coaches, right, is not necessarily the officials of, well, my guy is getting disadvantaged. My guy's getting held. He's getting bumped. There's contact. There should never be contact. Not so fast, right? In the game of lacrosse, we're going to have some contact, right? And again, we need to think advantage versus disadvantage. So what we want to do is try to break down, and this is a great example of things you can bring to us, and we'll try to break down. What we're going to look at is if we're on ball, we're generally going to have an illegal screen. On ball meaning within 5 yards in the scrimmage area. So again, think of the same terms that we want to continue to use over and over again. For off ball, we're outside the scrimmage area, 5 yards away, either from a loose ball or whoever has possession of that ball. So if we look at illegal screen versus interference, you can look it up on your page numbers, NFHS book. Again, we're doing strictly NFHS here on out. So we either have an illegal screen, it's legal for stationary and motionless offensive screening, which is actually in Rule 417, rule of play, right? And so anything that's not stationary and motionless, and we have a couple additional characteristics, is an illegal screen. Only the offensive player can commit an illegal screen. That's it. And again, the offensive player doesn't matter what position, so it can be a defenseman, but offensive player and offensive team, meaning the team with possession of the ball. There's an intention to set a pick, right? There's also the location of the cross. Is it sideways? Is it sticking out? Is it looking there? We want it up and down. If we can, it can be inside. It can be a little bit tilted. That's fine, right? And are you stationary within the frame? So is your feet within your shoulder frame, right? Feet should be here and not outside is what we want to do, right? And again, that lean as well. We see that lean a lot of the times, right? Or we also call it the box pick or that razor pick where you're seeing guys spin off them. Can be okay. We don't want to lean and to catch somebody. So that's the illegal screen. That's kind of the easy ones, right? An advantage, disadvantage. The defender no longer is with the player because of that illegal screen, right? We have a technical foul, and we're going to do some signals tonight. But again, we're going to do a legal screen, which is a nice L, 90 degrees, right? Tweet, tweet, tweet. We point, we make it big, and then we're pointing the other way. We're saying white ball, right? Moving screen, illegal screen, moving pick, white ball, right? Interference is our garden variety everything else. And in terms of that, again, players just cannot interfere with another player's free movement, right? Except when they're in 5 yards and except when they're in 5 yards of a loose ball. Both players are within that. Anybody can commit interference, right? We often see it outside the scrimmage area. Again, advantage versus disadvantage. It doesn't say that we can't have contact. We just can't have an interference of that free movement. And so again, once we then have that, we're going to go through a regular technical foul tree, right? If it's a loose ball, just not your ball anymore. If you do have the ball and your team commits an interference, which can happen, right? It's 20 yards off of the ball. 2 guys are hitting each other. It's just not your ball anymore. And then if it's a defensive team and the other team has possession, we throw a flag. We have a 30-second foul. So again, that's our tech tree. Again, we'll make this available for you. These are going to animate on me, which is fine. So again, our tech tree, as I call it, is again, we're going to have, once that's committed, we're going to go play on, right? Because we have technical fouls that occur, right? And then again, the only, if again, team B is committing on a loose ball, right? What's going on? Play on, right? We're going to, if we see it, illegal screen or interference, we're going to go white ball, right? And we're going to point. Same thing if it's simply not your ball anymore. Make sure we say, for language cleanup, I'd like us just saying that color of the ball, right? Interference, white ball. Don't start play on, play off, play this, play that. Just play on, tweet, 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 tweet. Interference, nice and big. Make it real big, because a lot of times it happens way off of the play. We're not looking at each other. White ball, let everybody know we're going that way, right? And so again, don't need extra language, don't need to explain it. You don't have to give a reason it's interference. Coach, it's interference. That's it. He's not within 5 yards. It's interference. We're going that way, right? Nice, simple, clean. This is the laundry list of things that interference includes, right? And we're going to spend just a short amount of time on it. But again, same kind of idea. And again, we're not talking goalie interference, separate category, right? But just for regular field interference, right? We can't interfere with free movement. Our free movement is our idea. We also see this on face guards, pretty unique to lacrosse. A few other sports do it, but we see that. We had a game last weekend where we had a double face guard occurring, and we literally were seeing players grab the other jersey, right? We throw a flag. Can't grab the jersey. It's a holder interference. We're about 30 yards from the ball, and you're trying to restrain that player from moving. Not allowed, right? We're off ball. Again, if it's a loose ball, it can occur. We see that off ball screen, right? Somebody 20 yards is setting a pick to spring their teammate, and that becomes an illegal screen. Either one. Don't get overly caught in the minnows of what variety of minnow it is, right? It's a technical foul. Is if you call it an illegal screen, that's fine. If coach asks you why, explain it to him. Try to get the correct one, but if you need to lump it into an interference, we're okay, right? It's because these two rules go side by side. And then again, think of on the defense side, right? Especially if we have a flag down, there's an additional push, there's a hack. I think the most common one, Vernon brought this up, is that defenseman who slams the stick out of the attackman's hands, right? Nowhere near the play. He's just being a jerk, right? Is we can go up the conduct tree, we'll talk about that tonight, but it's also interference. You can't, that's free movement. He no longer has a stick, right? Or we see that push into the crease is a very common interference call, especially when it's not the ball carrier, right? You take that player and you shove them into the crease, sir, that attackman's in the crease. Well, how did he get there? You interfered with them. I might have a flag in that scenario, depending on, again, our tech tree. So again, we're gonna pause. I don't see anything chat-wise, so I think we're good. Again, remember, when we're talking technical fouls, we need context. We need to think advantage, disadvantage. We need to think of the history of our own game, not long, just the game that we're in. So if it's in the first quarter, first play, it's a 3-second history that we have, and the consistency, right? If that player continually is hitting the other player inside the crease and we've let it go all game, might continue to let it go. Or we might say, hey, there's a history there. It's past the threshold that we want to have now. So again, be consistent in what you are. Once you then make that call, we've now set a bar. So if the other team does it on the other side of the field, we should throw another flag, right? And so again, we should be consistent, have some history, have a context of what's going on, right? Are they shoving each other? Or are they just touching each other because they don't like each other because they're wearing different colors of jerseys for that day, right? That's what happens in our game, and that's okay. So again, have all that context in there, have that advantage, disadvantage conversation in your head or with your partner when we're off ball. We are gonna move forward. So if we don't have kind of questions on that, we can also hit them on the end if you think of them, but that was a great, 2 different officials asked for that one. So again, if you have stuff, let us know and we'll keep it moving and incorporate into the webinar. When we get to mechanics and field areas, we need some terms, right? Some basic terms. A lot of these terms are the same in lacrosse officiating. We love creating 3 or 4 or 7 different terms for the same thing, right? We see that, and that's okay. So we have a lead official, right? And a trail official. That depends on who's covering the goal line. We have face-off and wing official. That's the person conducting the face-off or not. Then we have an on official or off official. So these are kind of the lead or who's in charge of the thing occurring. So again, the lead is the goal, face off is the face off, on official is the call or maybe the direct penalty that is most likely to occur, right? Doesn't mean that other official can't do it, but in a two-man, we just refer to that as we're going through our mechanics. So again, advantage versus disadvantage, know when to have play-ons, know when to throw flags. Again, a get it and keep it in has been simplified only in a stall or 4 or less in the last 2 minutes of an NFHS game. And then we have our clearing counts. We have a goalie 4, a 20-second defensive to get over the midline, and a 10-second to get it in the box for the first time for that offensive team. So we're going to do a lot of diagrams. Yay, pictures, pictures, everybody loves pictures, right? So we're going to do a lot of them. We got this idea, again, a few officials reached out and they said, I don't think we ever went over how we start a game for a lot of officials, right? So that's what we want to do tonight. We want to kind of take you in a chronological journey of when you are now the official on the field, and let's say we've talking to the head coaches, right? Once we want to start the way we're going. So coin toss, if we can do it 5 or 10 minutes, fantastic beforehand. And so what we're going to do, assuming the home team is on the right here, the away team, and again, we'd flop it, right? If it's the opposite, but the referee goes against the home team, the umpire, right? So usually the junior person on the crew is going to get the away team. We generally want to call for them right at the corner of the box or the wing line. Have them come to you. Don't run out. It looks so much cleaner if we have them come to that wing line. Try to bring them together the best we can. We're then going to have the home team face the bench. It's their home, so they get to look at the bench. The visitors will look away. So away team looks away, and usually the visiting fans are on the far side of the field. Not always, but again, just good things to remember if you get confused, right? So home faces in, away faces away from the
Rob,
benches.
you don't want the official using the whistle to get the captains, correct?
You're correct. Use your voice, right? Use the other captains are a great resource. Use the coaches. If there's an assistant coach there, be friends with them, right? Don't blow your whistle because they're warming up. They might have face-off guys warming up. There's things going on, right? Hey, red captains, red captains, red captains here, please. Nice, loud, big, be friendly, right? Shake their hand, give them a fist bump, whatever you feel comfortable with is fine. I like using my first name. If you want to do the Mr. or Miss, fine by me, whatever works. Then we come up, right? We get them here. Again, we won't go over the full mechanic, but have them introduce themselves, right? Again, I like referee generally standing towards the home team, but also more importantly, the referee does the first face-off. So I like being in the correct face-off so we don't have to swap, right? So that's the way I like doing my mechanic. Wherever the ref wants to stand, fine. I don't like extra steps. We all get enough steps in the day. We don't need 6, 7 more at this point, right? The few extra, it saves you. It just looks cleaner. Same thing. Once we're good and we determine, right, left shoulder goes to the goal based on what net they're defending. So in this scenario, we're going to say this team on the bottom, right, is going to be the team going left. So it doesn't mean it's home or away, right? It just simply means what net you're defending. So left shoulder to the net you're defending first, you go there. Referee and umpire, again, is going to become face off and wing official, right? So we're moving through these terms already in the game. We're going to line them up, be short in what you want to say. Everybody's got a different opinions. As you said, mine is super simple. Gentlemen, great day for a game. I need 2 things from you to honor the game and have fun. Keepers down the chute. Here we go, right? Mine is super simple. John likes reminding them of, hey, 2 things, mouthpiece is in, and if there's a turnover, drop the ball. Goalies, let's get it going, right? Simple. Pick what you want to talk about, be brief. Should be under 15, 20 seconds, if that. They're high schoolers, they don't listen. We're adults, we don't listen. Understand your audience, right? So once we then get into the proper face-off position, we're going to be in our spots. Face-off official is outside, or excuse me, is right by the face-off. Wing official is outside. Again, we're running lead left. So the wing official's on this side, face-off official's here. We can back out nicely and cover our goal. So once again, we're going to look at that wing official. I'm going to move my webcam when we do signals, but again, we're going to be stop sign, stop sign, stop sign, stop sign. Again, not a yellow light. We're going to go full red light, stop sign, right? And then when we're good, we go parallel to the ground. right? Nice, clean, big, 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 out, right?
And you're pointing to the
The
goal.
goal you are covering
Yep.
as your lead. So same thing. So I am going this way, which I don't understand which net I'm covering, but I'm covering this one because I'm mixed up on camera, but I'm going right for right now. Probably is that official. I'm probably going left, to be honest with you, if I'm now thinking about it. And so once we then go down, right, once our partner says the field is set, we're good to go. Depending on where the faceoff goes, that's where we go. So if it goes to my side, I'll be the art today, John will be the umpire. And so if I am the faceoff official and the ball goes toward my goal, I'm gonna back out and I'm gonna get there, right? John's gonna trail in. The mechanic we are going to use is on faceoffs, the trail is gonna have all the counts. It makes life easier, right? John is gonna have the 20-second. If it goes in the defensive half, John's also gonna cover the 10 just for the faceoff. Because what happens is, as this faceoff and this lead, I'm A, trying to get out of the way. B, I might be catching my breath already, even on the first faceoff. And C, I need to get to goal, right? I don't have to be worrying about count, looking over my shoulder if it's a fast break. If that faceoff guy is immediately going to cage, I need to get there. And my number one concern is the goal, nothing else. I want to make sure they're safe and they're not getting killed in the process, but I need to cover that goal. So let John take it. He's got a view of the entire field. And as I'm running, I need to get to goal. Let him take that count, right? Make it easy. Same thing in this scenario where if the ball squirts out this way, goes to John. John's now the lead as the wing official. I can have the 20 if I need it. I have the first 10 count, and that's it. As we go back and forth where the lead gets to 10, the trail gets to 20, along with the goalie count. But take that first 10 because I can watch everything. I have a nice wide view and I can be nice and big and everybody can see it. What the coaches also see is everything in this frame in the midfield, right? They're going to see that official with their arm nice and big, right? They're not necessarily looking at the official scrambling to try to get to that goal as fast as they can, especially if there's a shot, right? So nice and big. Once we're in, we chop. Big, 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 chop. So those are our signals on that. Again, another idea of lead and trail where we're generally standing. Depending on your mobile disability or mobile ability, give yourself some space. It's okay to be out a little bit as that trail. I'd rather you outside of the restraining line if you're a little bit mobily challenged because you can cover more, you can see more. The more you get in, the worse your angle gets. When I started, I was always in tight because I thought I was fast, I can get in, I got a bad view. Now, I stand, even in a 3-man game, I don't go anywhere near the box line. I'm 5 yards out of that. You get a nice wide angle, you see a different angle, and it's nice, right? So again, realize what your ability is and realize what angle you feel most comfortable. If the play is really in tight, there's a lot of stuff in the crease, I might drift. You can change from time to time, but generally think you want to be inside 5 yards off. This is a nice football line we have right here, right? Or sometimes the women's line, perfect little line to kind of base ourselves off. That's the 35, right? So we want to be there as lead. Again, usually as you start behind, and then as you get midway through your career, usually on GLE, and then you'll drift above, wherever you're most comfortable, wherever you think you can see the best in a 2-man game. You should also be not necessarily stationary as the lead. And so we then
Rob,
go over, yes?
Yep. Just going to say, Dick was mentioning how after the initial possession, if you're a lead, you want to take off. You want to get down to get to cover.
Yep.
So once you've got that possession covered, get in position.
Yep, absolutely. Get down there. Don't worry about that count. Trail, pick up that count every time. Talk about it in your pregame. Then we got responsibilities. So again, 2 different views of the same thing. So again, our trail back here, if we're looking kind of bird's eye in terms of the benches down here and leads on the goal line, this is another view from that mechanic manual that we sent out. Just different, the field tilted on a half court set. Lead, you're looking at the goal and you have the end line and you have this sideline. So sideline, end line, goal. Goal and end line are most important by far, right? Those 2. Also looking for any penalties along with that. The trail, it's in red. Shooter, 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 shooter. Number one thing we have to watch at all times. Do not fall asleep on that switch. Stay on the shooter. Don't follow the ball. If it's a pass, stay on the passer. It's a shot, stay on the shooter. You have the far goal, meaning if that ball goes the other way, you got to haul some tail and get down there. You're also in charge not only of this sideline on the bottom, also in charge over and back. Remember, over and back is only initiated once we have that touch. Now we have an over and back. Again, in terms of terminology, whatever you'd like to use, be my guest. We've kind of decided, unless we have a tip, that's when we're doing it. We're going to assume we have an over and back every other time in that scenario. Unless we have a tip and we should be on, nope, tip, 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 loud, repeat it, loud, repeat it, loud, repeat it. More times for your partner. Keep it going. Even on multiple tips, it's okay. Then when we get into our restarts, as we said, lead is going to have everything on this far sideline, right? Within reason, I always say, when we get to those deeper restarts, I'll explain why, but everything on this sideline, everything on this end line. We call these the coffin corners. When you get into scenarios like that, use your trail. Your trail might have best. If it's a really contested ball far pylon and the trail's got a better view, blow the whistle, take a quick look. See what you both say. If you're both pointing same way, we're good. If we're kind of like, go with what your gut says. That simple. It's okay for trail to cheat down in that scenario if the ball squibs out. We see it. Same thing up here on the opposite side. Be aware of that. This is an easy settled restart. Anything staying in the offensive should be nice and easy. Most of the things that are occurring, it's the shots. And sometimes we have some out of bounds for most restarts or technical foul, things like that. Pretty settled. We're good. Now we get to a whole bunch of fun geometry. And these are non-settled restarts and when we have the ball switching field. So again, let's say the ball's over here, we're gonna have it down. So again, I like trail doing this one, even though we're gonna consider this a sideline restart, the lead can't really see what's going on. They're 60, maybe 70 yards away, how far back. The trail come over, you see where this trail is, right? We started up here and now we move, come to the crease. I sometimes come past the crease, to be honest with you. If they're super jarring at each other and you want to get your 5 yards, I understand we can do it. But if it's a contested, it's an out of bounds, we have a dead ball, a full dead ball, come on in, stop moving, you move there, stay there. And then I start drifting back to the crease. Then you can blow your whistle, nice and loud. In this scenario, to throw an NCAA mechanic, if you're running 3-man, 1, a 2, and a 3 is on the pylon, our current CLOA president has dubbed this the Bermuda Triangle. Nothing good happens in the red triangle. And we will often see 2 flags thrown on the same play. Anything in the Bermuda Triangle is fair game to save your life as an official. If you see it, we rather throw it twice because a lot of things can happen, especially in transition. I am now dubbing this in a 2-man game, and Vernon agreed on our name. This is called the death rhombus. If anything is inside the death rhombus, throw a flag. Don't let it go uncalled. This is a highly contested area. You have anywhere from 10 people swinging sticks at each other, running full speed. We have issues. We understand that. Be conscious of it. What we also have in this scenario, this ball carrier moves up or makes a pass, and this player now has 3 attackmen on them who wants to throw every single Hail Mary check they can. Be aware, your trail is now by the crease. Your lead might be far down. We don't want to go all the way to the goal, but it's far enough. We might have 40 yards between us to that common point in the middle where that player is getting hacked. If you both see it, throw it. Take a half second before you blow your whistle, just saying it's 2 flags, I gotta throw. See it. If it's the same play and you saw person catches it, slam in the face, and you see 2 flags go, hold your whistle. Understand that that is going to be the same flag. If it's not, that's a different story, right? But understand that's what we have that same play. Anything in that giant death rhombus, as I'm calling it, right? Or that Bermuda Triangle, nothing good can happen there. Be aware of that, right? Because again, this is where we struggle the most in that restart. The more you can backpedal, the more you can get out. As that new lead, you can open up your frame, turn around, and now you're looking, right? We always want to have eyes on the herd, as we call them. Again, in this scenario, lead gets down. The coffin corner is actually over here. It's a little mislabeled area, but it's actually over here. When that lead gets down, all they got to worry about is goal, right? Along with the shot. But the key is the trail, take a little bit of time. Don't walk, right? Don't walk. Get to your spot, but take a little bit of time. You don't need to sprint all the way up to the restraining line. See what's going on. Are there subs going on? Is the goalie chirping at the attackman? Is the attackman yelling at somebody on the sideline, right? Pay attention to it. See what's going on. Be confident in your partner, especially in a settled situation. They just played defense a lot. They get it back down. They settle it. They're holding on. Coach is yelling, hold on, pump the brakes, or yellow is there a sub word, right? And you hear that, take a second. Come up a little bit, get to the midline, right? Jog, hustle the midline, get there, take a second. And then when we're settled, everybody gets in, come in. Especially if you're watching TV games, when you have that third man always comes in late because they're in charge of the rest of the field. So be aware of that. The other item, when we have a goal, first item, and we're going to see the picture in it, get into the crease to call your goal. Nothing drives Brennan and I crazy when we see guys standing on the outside of the restraining line or outside the box, the alley line going, goal, and we're this way. Get inside the goal. Call the goal late if you can get into position. Don't go, ball goes in the net, there's a kid in the crease, there's a kid yelling in pain, there's a broken stick on the play. What do we have? If I'm a coach, I'm screaming. I have no idea what you're calling. Was that a goal? Was that not a goal? Why are you not there? You're not in position. If you run in, even if it takes you a second, let it take a second, right? Build the suspense. This is why we're doing it. We're having some fun, right? Get into the crease, get at least a foot inside the crease. Blow your whistle. Long on goals. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Long goals. Up high. Straight up. It's a field goal. It's not out here. It's not this. It's not this way. It's not the women's game where we do this or Australian women's football. It is up, 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 big, big, big. It is a goal. It is the entire reason why we play the game, and it is the most fun thing to do. Reward it. It's big and it's loud as a symbol. We're goal, right? Have that foot in the crease. As soon as that ball goes in the crease and you're 100%, you're blowing your whistle, my eyes go upfield to the shooter and they go up to the pack. They see the celebration. They see the defenseman who's not happy with everything. Monitor it. As a trail, you're rewatching it, get a second set of eyes on that pile immediately. Then, now we have the scenario of the lead needs to get the ball. The trail needs to take the pile. Have that recognition, right? Trail is on the pile the whole time. If it's really contested, trail get in there. Now, you don't have to come all the way down to the crease. Get as close as you can to that pile without killing yourself, right? The closer you are, the smarter they become, as I say, right? And again, once you're then in that scenario, right? Lead gets the ball. I now am going to toss it to my partner. I now have the pile, right? Make an underhand toss. I can't explain it enough times. Overhand tosses look terrible because you're usually rifling it at your partner for some reason. Let them catch it. They might also be watching the pile and not see the ball actually thrown. Underhand it, try to make it one bounce. Put a little air on it, right? Let it bounce, try to catch it clean. Once you then catch it, jog to the face-off. We have 20 seconds, remember, from goal to when we want down. That's what we want. It's the best mechanic. You get to go home early. Everybody gets rewarded. The best of your ability, at least jog to that area. So we need to watch pile. We need to jog. Start thinking of the next thing without getting ahead of yourselves. I have a goal, watch my pile. Tweet, I can run in, I can watch the pile. I might have another flag, right? Big goal sign. All right, John's got the pile, we're good. Let me get the ball, right? I'm gonna throw it to John. Let me watch the pile again. Take a second. And even as that official, since you're not going to face off, you're coming back down here, take an extra second. Stay by the pile. Let the defenseman yell and scream and do everything else. Just be there, right? Say, hey, 2-2. I get it. Just need to comment a bit. Sound good? Good. Or the same thing. Hey, the keep's upset, especially if you can identify a cap. Make sure we get him. Okay. Just make sure he's going to do all right. We don't need any more flags. We're good, right? Game management. Make sure we stay on that. So again, nice and big, right? Within all these, eyes are on the players. We're good, right? Huge goal call. We don't care where the ball is. We'll find it, right? When you do upper levels, the goalies are usually very nice. They'll throw you the ball. I like catching it first, then give my goal signal. Nice and simple. Catch it. I might stand there for a second. Watch the stupidity, right? Just in case you don't know. Watch it. Take a second, right? Now I'm goal, especially if it's a step down shot, it's in the back of the net, the entire world knows it's in the back of the net, we can wait a second to give our signal to do good game mechanics, right? So we're gonna pause, gonna go through a couple more right here. I know we're running a little bit on you, but I like calling this the Lusochi. He taught me, so I like paying homage to the people who gave us really good things I still use. And so this is our thought process when we're going through on our field mechanics. So the quick story of this is think of all the different steps. And especially as a newer official, I'd say 10 years or under, great rhythm to get into, especially early in the game to get your mind right. If you had a bad day at work or there's a lot going on, right? You get to the field. Where did I come from? Where am I? Where am I going? You could do it everything in life is a loose Sochi joke, right? I just came from work. I'm home. I'm going to the ice cream cart, right? I'm at the ice cream carton. I just came right from being home and I'm going to the couch, right? But the idea is we can do it in the lacrosse field. I'm the old trail. I am at the 50. I need to get to the restraining line, right? Okay, I'm at the restraining line. I just came from the 50. I watched the subs. I am going to goal once the ball gets here. We start anticipating where we're coming from and we understand and can clear out the last thing we did. I just came from Old Trail. I didn't have a flag on the shooter. I can now move. I'm moving. Where am I going next? Think of that process, a really good tip and tool. And again, you'll start thinking of it even as an older official. As you keep going, just get your mind in that. Where am I going next? Can I anticipate what's going next as an official? So I'm going to swap over really quickly. If this doesn't want to hang up on me, perfect. And so we're going to go through, a lot of you asked for these. So we're going to try to do our best that we can. You got to tilt it up a bit. So we're going to do our signals. And so when we have a call on the field, whatever call it is, the first primary responsibility, we need to make sure that our partner has a general idea of what we're calling, right? If I call, John, you get that? Oh, you can get it, John? Why not? What's your deal, right? Is nobody knows what it is. John's got his own stuff going on. The coach might be screaming at him, right? They're asking for green bean casserole recipes. Could be anything in the planet, right? Nice and big. Interference, white ball. Nice, big, loud. We know where we're going. We know what it is, right? Same thing when we get to the penalty reporting. Take your time. Make sure your partner confirms they got it, right? It's okay. Make sure the field can know too. When I do penalties, I almost report it for John as my partner, especially if I'm that far side official, right? Again, you can be loud. It's not a secret that number 7 on blue is going off for a slash. Everybody should know it. John, we got a flag here, flag down. Hey, blue 7 slash 1 minute. And I'm not even the guy reporting it to the table. Nice and big. Now, blue 7 knows, the entire team knows, they can still argue, that's all right. But everybody knows, right? And then John might go, which is famous. And when I go, hey, blue 7, 8 slash 1. John will ask me a question, which is normal. And the first thing that we don't get as officials, what's the first thing we always miss? Is Vernon unmuted on me?
Yeah. Well, I'm unmuted, yeah.
Did you get what player it was? No.
Yes.
Right? Be loud, right? Take your time. We often see John slash 1 7. What? Right? Hey, John, blue 7, number 7, right here. Slash 1 minute. Be slow, be repetitive. Have that kid going, right? It's a lot easier. It's tough to see numbers. It's a lot easier if that kid's running towards you as the official has to report and you can see his number. But if that kid doesn't know he's off, I go, John, yeah, we got a slash for 1. John's going, what do I report? Coaches are going to start yelling of who the slash was, right? Take your time, get the number. The second thing is the table and the coaches. While that's occurring, the other official should be getting the goalie and the field aware of what's going on. Hey, White, it's going to be your ball outside. It's going to be 1 man for 30 seconds. Keep ball is here. Keep ball is here. And be waiting. So when John comes over his penalty, hey, John, it's your whistle. I'm going to point right to him, right? If it's my whistle, I like putting my hand up. It's my whistle. I point, right? If it's yours, I might point and point to the goal that I am now lead, right? Or where we're going as trail. And I point to him and we're good. And we can blow it in nice and quick. We can speed up these dead balls. So again, when we do that penalty relay, especially as a far side official, make sure your partner confirms it, especially the number 7. Hand signals aren't bad. They're tough to see though. I struggle too. Mr. Naramore and I worked a game. He was in the press box and we were trying to communicate in ridiculous 40-mile-per-hour winds what number the player was, and he was 66. And the two of us were looking at each other and finally we were like 6, 6, right? And then you saw one of these and everybody knew what they were doing, right? Take your time, try a couple methods, right? It doesn't matter. Take your time, make sure we get it. We rather get it right than get it wrong and then put our partner in a bad spot, right? And again, partner sets that field. I always like this one. I hope to everything I believe in that my partner setting up the field, right? Trail always reports, regardless who threw the flag. So for basketball guys, get it out of your head. You're not reporting every penalty. If you call it, only the trail. So that includes if you're on the far side, get over, report it. The lead, you should never be reporting because this is where the ball is going to start. He can get the field set, doesn't need to come over. Trail can easily do this, walk back or jog back in a position, we're good to go. This is the easy one. You turn around, get to the 50, report our penalty. Again, we're not necessarily going to use hand signals for numbers. This is an older picture, right? But nice and big. Blue 7 / 1 minute. Say it twice. Blue 7 / 1 minute. I've come into the habit now. If you can take a quick look at the scoreboard, penalty releases at 5:02. Help everybody out. Everybody just heard it. The people at the table, the coaches, 5:02. We turn around. If we're in NCAA and we're shot clock, we got to reset our shot clock. Remember that? We turn around, right? We look at John. John's pointing at me. Oh, ball's here. Keep. Ball is here, right? When we use that language, right? Don't get overly complicated, right? Ball here, ready to go. Hey, to me, whatever it is. Again, that explanation is not necessarily needed, right? If they're routine calls. If they're fancier, we can throw it in.
Rob, can you just,
Yeah.
on the signal reporting, can you talk about how you would convey 2 individual slashes on the same
yes.
player, for example?
Yes. Yep. And the same thing, I think we got to do the head one we discussed too, right? So if we had 2 flags, say it, give everybody a second, right? We have 2 penalties on the play, 2 penalties, both on blue 7. They have 2 individual slashes, both are 1 minute. Blue 7 is going to serve 2 minutes. Both are releasable. He is out at 4:02. 2 individual slashes, 1 minute apiece. That you can use a lot of language for, right? But they're simple languages. They're simple, they're short, they're to the point, right? Same thing. Hey, coaches, we got 2 flags on the play, 2 players on blue. I have blue 7 / 1 minute. I love that word in reporting. Use also. Your brain just like, oh, there's something else, right? The table people get upset, right? They wait for it. Also, blue 14 / 1 minute. 2 men, 1 minute, both released at 5:02. And I'm pointing to the scoreboard, right? Be loud, be expressive, right? Take your time. You don't have to rush. I also have seen there's this new thing. We love doing this and getting right up to the table and saying blue 7's a slash and blue 14's a slash. Okay, you got it. They're going to get out at 5:02. And then I walk back to the field. And as a coach, I said, what am I doing? Am I 2 men down, 1 man down, no men down? Nobody told me. Don't get to the table. Get to the position. You should be on the 50, either right on the sideline or out. Get closer to the wings if you can. Nice and big. Don't go to the table unless if you have 7 penalties, go to the table, right? Take your time. But if it's routine stuff, you don't have to go to the table. Use your voice, let everybody know in the field so they can set it up. Especially at higher levels, assistants are putting different units out there. They need to know, right? So we need to communicate that. It's not a secret. In the event, again, if we have a head or neck play, you can use either one. We see different ones. We'll tap head. Some people like doing fist to head. Some people just like pointing to head. anything in there, and same thing with our locked in. Some guys like doing genie, some guys like saying full time, whatever you want to do. I clap. I don't know why. I just kind of clap in front of my face and it said full time or locked in. That's what I do. Anything that kind of symbolizes that, I think we're good without getting too crazy on it, right? But we just want to be big and clear. Good, Vernon?
Yep.
All right. So again, our stopping the clock simples, right? Our out of bounds, hand up, we point, right? Hand up, we point. Again, match the enthusiasm of the play. Goalie, especially if it's the bigger guy, give him some love. If he runs out of the cage and gets the ball, keeper, nice and big, loud. Make it big for that guy. That kid guy just ran 10 yards. Give him some love, right? Point to it. Same thing. Carry yourself to that end line. It's really important. If you continue running the extra 2 yards, you're right there. Coach, I'm right there. I couldn't have blown that call. I'm standing 3 feet away, right? Hand in the air, nice and big, pointer direction, right? And then again, when we're set, we're stopped. Again, this is for the clock operator. The stops, right? And then we wind when we go in. Same thing if it's an inbounds, right? An inbounds, we're gonna go inbound whistle, excuse me, when we're stopping. I like throwing hands up, right? The cicada whistle, the tweet, tweets, hand up, right? Explain what it is, pointer direction, right? We have the legal screen, blue ball, I'm ready, wind, right? When we come back in, we wind, nice and big. Again, think clock operator, everybody. I always like doing my general rhythm, wind your arm as long as you blow your whistle and vice versa. Be Mississippi, it's not a half crank, it's a wind and we whistle, right? Same thing on timeouts, be big. Also be aware of when timeouts are called, right? We need possession, we're not just saying that, right? Or a dead ball, but be aware if there's a minute and 30 seconds left and that player goes into what we call the blender with the ball and there's a 1 goal lead in the balance and that player is about to get hit by 4 different defensemen, be aware coach might call a timeout, right? And be listening for that, especially as the trail official. Take a look, stand next to him, move your position if you can, if you're bench side, to stand next to the bench. Be ready. Also be aware if it's that far side coach who's behind the sub box, he might come onto the field. We allow this in this scenario. If he's screaming timeout, let him come onto the field. Do not conduct him, right? He might come out, say, oh, timeout, 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 right? I also instruct younger coaches, have them call a color. Timeout white, timeout white, timeout white, timeout white, timeout white. Say it 30 times, say your color. Because again, you want to confirm as official, I know I have the timeout. Let me make sure the coach is calling it and we're good. We're not blowing this play, right? So take your time, nice and big. We're going to wave, right? Nice and big, and then point. When you are calling that timeout, I think I got a field. Whoop, my apologies. Get here as the trail official or the lead. Get to this middle the quickest you can. We call this the cross of players. This is where things happen. We don't want to miss that call. The teams are crossing, somebody slashes somebody, somebody's on the ground, nobody's there. Get out of your scorecards, wait until they cross, take an extra second. Don't worry about the bench, don't worry about the coaches, don't worry about the ball, don't worry about stick checks, don't worry about your scorecard. Worry about the players crossing safely. Once they do, it's your time. Do whatever you want. You want to talk about stuff, write stuff down, ask questions. You want to take deep breaths. You want to curse everybody out underneath your breath. Do so, but just make sure the players cross. One of the biggest things. And both officials get to that 50 if you can. It's massively important. I think our last kind of, yep, go ahead.
Just a question came up regarding the different types of whistling, okay, to tweet, the cicada. Can you just quickly go through the different ways in which you use the whistle to signal that you're stopping play?
Yeah, I think to me, they're the same on a lot of times, right? As again, we want to do when it's out of bounds normal, we're 1 quick blast, out, white wall, right? Shot, out of bounds. when we're coming in, we do a wind and we're 1.5 long, right? Anything else, I got weird stuff, as I say it. Be weird with it, right? Because something's unusual. Those are 2 normals. They happen the most in the game. Anything else, a flag, a push, a timeout, right? I think the timeout, I'm pretty consistent on. Everybody gets attention, right? Anything else, the weird stuff, that's the, and again, you'll find yourself, you find your own, right? I'll do shorter ones if I need to get my partner their attention. Hey, John, right? As versus the, hey, we just had a serious blow up, a kid is dead, right? We have all this stuff, a flag, we have punches thrown. They might be aggressive, they might be slower. That part doesn't matter. You just want to be different than normal cadence of. Those are start stops mechanics. So you'll find yourself using different ones. As we said, the flag down is one of those because sometimes your partner doesn't hear that flag down, right? Or that push, the ball goes out of bounds. Your partner tries to wind it back in again. John, we got a flag. Okay, yeah, no problem. Great. I didn't hear it. We're good. What do you got? Right? Nice and easy. Sound good on that one?
Yep.
Our officials timeout, right? In the event, same thing. Especially if a player is hurt. I always love US Lacrosse always uses dog on the field every time. So we just leave it in for a little bit of laugh, right? But essentially, if it's your timeout, right, especially a player injury, you don't need to blow 1,000 whistles, right? Is be cognizant that player is not doing well, right? Hey, my time, my time, my time, my time. Trainer, right? Coach, whatever you want to say, good, right? Or the same thing is where you see some. Hey, John, scoreboard's wrong. My time, everybody hold, right? You can match it, right? But use that different one, especially to get your partner's attention. We hear that tweet a little bit differently. Very last item. I know I'm super over time and I apologize on that one. We're gonna use the ladder for coaches. I got a few other texts on this one, right? Coaches are very crazy. Who would have thought, right? I am one of the crazy coaches, but I understand that. And over the scrimmages in the weekend, we had coaches going ballistic over technical fouls. That is the way of the game of lacrosse. That will never change. They will go ballistic over technicals versus everything else in life. So we need to understand that. But the biggest thing to remember, this is the little gem for this week, is what you do affects the next crew and all other crews that come after you in terms of who works those games. And it's as simple as if it's the eye black, the centerline midfield, whatever else they want us to get this year or next year is the emphasis, or the year after that. And if we agree or don't agree, remember you're affecting the other crew. So if the coach is screaming that his player is getting contact inside every time and wants an interference and is 10 yards on the field screaming at you, you need to use the ladder. You need to have, don't ignore them, allow them to ask questions, end it if you need to. Be honest with the coach. Coach, we're going to allow contact. We're looking for advantage, disadvantage, and that's not there. If it is there, I will call it. I assure you. I promise you. I will watch for it. I will look. When the next dead ball, tell my partner to. Assure them, right? And don't lie to them. Assure them. In that scenario, this is the ladder. We talk about it a lot, and I realize it's not written anywhere. This is our ladder. It's in the rule book. It's just not in a concise place. This is the concise place. Your first rung of the ladder, de-escalate. There's no other action. Coach. I did the same thing. We had a game Saturday, same thing. Coach was hot. Coach was 10 yards on the field in a dead ball. We're in a college game, right? Hey, coach, walk with me. I'm promise. I'm still going to listen. Just walk with me, right? And we start backpedaling. I get him to the sideline, and he goes, I forgot what I was going to yell about. Well, that was easy, right? Like that was the easiest one I'm going to have all year, right? But it's just the fact of walk with them, right? Hey, coach, you're here. You're out by the face-off wing with me. You're making me look really bad because I have to turn around, talk to you. I go, come on, we'll backpedal. I'll come to the sideline. We can still start the face-off and be on the sideline and listen to that coach, right? If we feel it's enough, verbal warning. I always like my trick of it. It's a little bit of humor, and humor can be dangerous, but my little trick is I always say, especially if a coach is super outline, coach, this is your team's last warning. What do you mean last one? Don't we get 3 like everything else in life? And I go, yeah, coach, this is warning number 3, but I didn't get the other 2. Yeah, I'm aware, coach. You only get 1 warning today, right? And that's it. We're on 1 warning, right? And they go, they're looking. They're like, is this baseball, lacrosse? I go, no, just this is it. You're on final warning. We're good here. You good? Yeah, right. Like, and so again, talk to them, right? You don't have to be, coach, this is your last warning. Coach, this is your last warning here. After that, we're gonna have to do some other stuff, and we don't want to go there. Sound good, right? We need to just keep in check. I also say too, my very quick tip, the closer you get to a human, the quieter they get. So the further you get as an official and you start walking 15 yards, 20 yards from the coach, coach gets louder. If I get right up here to coach and say, coach, we got any questions real quick? They magically get silent very, very, very quickly, right? Or they start to whisper, right? Or talk in a normal, you don't have to get too close that it's impersonal and not safe because we're still in a COVID world, right? But get closer, get within a normal distance of a conversation. People don't yell anymore. When we have a conduct, find a time when that team has the ball. It's a great time to use a conduct for a coach that we are already on strike 3 for. Take the ball away. It's not time serving, but it sends a message. Coach says something, they're on offense. Your partner's terrible. No problem, coach. Guess who's also terrible? The fact that blue has the ball now. That's a conduct foul. We're going that way. Simple, easy, right? Take the ball away. The next one, if we have it, which again, I see people skip to, right? If it happens and if it's bad enough, you need to call it, throw that when they don't have possession. Now we're time serving. Don't immediately go to the 1 minute USC, right? We have a lot of steps with coaches before we get there. If they MF you up and down the river, we're in a very different ball game. They skip some rungs as well on their ladder. They're at a different place. But if again, it's just egregious, they're still complaining about illegal screens, it should never be a 1 minute USC unless we've used and exhausted everything else. In the event coach goes one more step past that, which is very rare, right? But it happens. They have another unsportsmanlike conduct around an ejection foul. Remember, just the coach is a 1 minute scenario. If it's a player, that's a 3 minute ejection foul for unsportsmanlike conduct on the second unsportsmanlike conduct. The coach is only a minute in that scenario, right? So understand these, use these for the sake of your other fellow brothers and sisters who are doing games. Again, that coach doesn't get better over time unless there's some corrective action. It doesn't need to be 4, 5, or 6, but 3 goes a long, long, long way. I promise you. And there's the few of you that talked to me, they said, I really wish I took the ball away. Just take it away. Don't think twice about it. It's not the end of the world. It's a possession. It's important, but it's not the end of the world. If you also do in the first and second quarter, you have a much easier third and fourth quarter. I promise you. If that's in the fourth quarter of 10 seconds, that's a very tough call. So with that, I am super over time. A lot of you asked me to cover a lot of stuff, and I apologize. We will get back on track very quickly next week. We will stay to that 30-minute time frame. We have a few quiz questions if you want to go through them, but officially I'll end the webinar now. So this is your time to stop or pause or do whatever. If you need to go use the restroom or anything like that, if you're live, be our guest. John and I will be on. I'll unmute right now.
We got one question for you after
Yeah.
we stop the recording.
Yep, go ahead. I think we agreed we'll keep them rolling unless it's
Okay.
like a back, right? Yeah.
There was a question about what to do if there's a fight in terms of whether you should be breaking it up or what you should be doing.
My personal guide is consistent with U.S. lacrosse as in the sport of lacrosse and the officiating of lacrosse, we do not touch players under any circumstance, including in a fight. You do not get in there. You don't risk your personal safety. You do not touch the players. Full stop. So we don't break up fights. In the event we have a fight, the mechanic is, and I've unfortunately had a few in my day, the bench side official freezes the benches. Your first item is to turn around and double stop sign all of the benches. Don't let more people go in. The only people you should allow, let the head coaches go. It is not a penalty. The head coaches will run towards that pile 9 times out of 10, let them go. They are your helpers. They will get their players. They will do the best they can, especially in a public school setting. They are awesome. They understand their capability and their responsibilities. Let them go. And the same thing, if coach starts running, he stops, coach, you can go. Just you, only you, you're good. Stop, 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 stop. What your partner is doing, whoever's closest, has taken out their card, and you are starting writing down numbers. Blue 8 just punched, white 7, whatever it is, and you stand there and you watch, and that's it. And then in the event, if you feel you can make an impact and stop the players, you do the Andy Spire, is what I call it. And this is a patented move. You take your whistle and you blow as loud as you humanly can, as close to that player without going too close to them or touching them. We had it last year in a college game. The player turned around. At some point, Andy taught me this 10 years ago, I think. Player turned around and goes, "Damn, that's loud." I go, "Yeah, but he stopped punching the other guy." And he goes, "You have a point," right? And the fight was over. So thank God for Andy for 10 years ago. At some point, I needed that tool in my toolkit to use, right? It works. Blow your whistle. That's all you can do. We do not touch the players at all. We also had a scenario, the parents were upset that we didn't touch the players. I go, "Mom, Dad, we don't touch minors. That's it." And they go, "Oh, yeah, that's a good point." Yeah, we're aware. We don't touch them. If they want to punch each other, they punch each other. If the coaches want to break it up, teammates break it up. That's it. Make sense? Sound good on the fight mechanic? Freeze the benches, take numbers, blow your whistle as loud as you can, throw your flags. That's great. I generally, we had a full brawl last year. I threw one flag and I was like, I'm good. I don't need to pick up more stuff at this point. I just have a whole bunch of stuff down and we're good, right? As we know, a lot of people are going, we're going to write stuff and that's it. And you do that and we don't touch players. I know I said it 6 times, but it's that important. Don't get yourself involved. Any immediate questions or anything like that? You are capable of unmuting as well.
Rob, what's the penalty if they leave the bench, right? That's a pretty bad one. If someone leaves the bench.
It's a straight ejection at that point.
Okay.
That player's been ejected. That's a 3-minute non-releasable there. And then that's a bunch of paperwork. You're calling Dave Leet as soon as you get to the car, which is often before he even knows that that game has ended, right? And you have that number in the event, to not go full scale down this, in the event this is the disqualification, you need to get the player's name. Take your time before you restart. Let it calm down. Let the temperature come out of that. Talk to the head coaches. I like to bring them to a conference. You tell them before we report anything, this is what we're doing, right? This is what's going on. In the event, if you need to, the game gets called, if it's that serious. Before you call the game, you need to get the name of that player from the scorebook. And I say it quite simply too. I go, "Coach, we're not leaving the field until we have that player's name." It's that simple. The coach is going to give you that name every time. Because if not, we're taking that coach's name too, and we know it. In that event, if they leave the bench, don't touch them, let them run. I had it once in they literally, I put up the stop sign and they ran underneath my elbow. And I was like, that's a bold move, right? That's a really bold move. And the same thing. And the other team saw it and they immediately said, "Hey, what are you going to do?" And he said, "I'm going to take his number," and that kid is gone. He's going to be out of that game. It's that simple. And that's it. You leave it. We don't touch him. Anything else on the questions? Let me pull up.
Rob, how about a total bench clearing brawl?
Man,
You don't have enough room on your scorecard at that point.
Yeah, if you're like full bench, the game's called, in my opinion, you know what I mean? And again, I fortunately have not had those in the 1,000+ games, but to that point of, again, not to give you like a dead set rule, but I think if you are at 4 players aside with 3 minutes, you should probably call the game at that point. If you do 3 and 3, which I've had, right? Probably continue. Again, remember the level. Like I said, that one of the first fights when I first moved back to Connecticut was the Andy Spire whistle technique, and that was like a 6-on-6 street fist fight. And it was the same thing. It was, we let the coaches go, we froze the benches, we got everybody good. And then the same thing, Andy said, "These are the numbers I had. I need all their names." And the coach said, "Awesome. What happens next?" And he said, "You guys have a great day. This game is over. All those players are ejected, game suspended. We're done here. Have a great day." And Andy was an absolute diplomat about it. I'm like, "Dad, what a boss," right? And he got us paid for half a game, but still, besides the point, I was like, damn. But again, lean on your veterans, right? And I'm serious, lean on your veterans in that scenario. If it's that crazy, listen to them, have some composure. You don't want people doing that. That's not honoring the game, which is massively important. But things happen, right? Is just be human about it. Anything else while I pull up the quick quiz? All right, you guys are still
Rob,
here.
quick question about the scenario you brought up. With the slash, 2 slashes, the same player, both 1 minute, both releasable. With the other team scores, how you go about releasing that? Do you just wipe off the second one and keep them in for the duration of the first, or do you start? What I would assume is you start the second one from the point of the goal. So if he scores 30 seconds into the first one, it's basically a minute and a half releasable instead of a 2 minute releasable.
Yeah, everything releases. If it's all releasable, if it's one player that's got 2 minutes and everything's releasable, even let's just say, I don't know, in the crazy scenario, had 4 slashes in the same play, right? It's still in the game. If you score in the first 8 seconds, everything's released. We're playing even,
Okay.
and that's it. They not like hockey. That's the only thing I can say, right? Don't think of hockey, then we start stacking or changing. It's releasable, it's releasable. If it's unreleasable, you can score as many goals as you want. If a goal is scored by the team that has an advantage, everything that's releasable wipes out. So if that's 3 guys in the box, Al and I had that the other day in a scenario for the same team. They scored and everybody came out. That's it. We went from playing 6-on-3 to playing 3-on-3 within about 8 seconds. And that was it.
Let me add one point there.
Yeah.
And this is very unlikely, but if you have players who are stacked, so they have not yet begun to serve their penalty time, they are not released on the
Correct.
goal. It can
You're
only
correct.
be players in the box who are serving releasable penalty time.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, we'll go through. We only got 5 for tonight. So we'll do the first one. A1 has the ball in the offensive half of the field. B1 pushes A1, flag down. Just gonna move these as I continue talking. B2 slashes A1, second flag down on TB. A1, who is now at the top of the goal area, passes the ball to A2, who is below the GLE, and A2 runs the ball back up above goal line extended from X, shoots and scores. What is our ruling? And again, we're talking NFHS.
Yeah, we'll do the NFHS first and then the NCAA.
Yep. Anybody want to take a stab?
I think second flag, kill it, right? I mean, and he went below goal line extended, so he's not in the position to score anymore.
Yep. So think scoring opportunity, right? Is once we get away from that goal area, we're going to consider anything behind goal line extended, no longer in the goal scoring opportunity area. I know we're kind of like making up terms. So think about that. We have goal scoring opportunity, right? If we're going behind the net, we can't score from behind the net, right? Unless we got any Air Gate fans out there from 40 years ago, right? We're not scoring from X. So therefore, as soon as we're there, no longer score, we blow the whistle. Correct on NFHS. In NCAA, what do we have? Excuse me, Mr. Naramore, that's straight field goal. No little signs, please. We got a good goal, right? Because the second flag does not stop in NCAA, so we can keep it moving. And so that goal will count. Next one, A1 has the ball and it's offensive. I am sharing correctly, just to make sure that my mind is not blanking, right? We're good. Okay, sorry.
Should be offensive, not offense, but okay, yep.
Yeah, A1 has ball in its offensive half of the field. B1 pushes A1, flag down. B2 slashes A1, second flag down. A1 is now at the top of the goal area, shoots. Ball deflects off the goalpost and is caught by A2, standing in the goal area above GLE. A2 then immediately shoots and scores. In NFHS, what's our ruling? So same flag scenario, we have 2 flags, but now we get a shot off of the post.
I think it's no goal because it can't touch another offensive player after it. That kills it once it touches another offensive player.
We're good. And even simpler, think about our goal scoring opportunity. Did our goal scoring opportunity end when that player got to take a shot, a valid shot, and it hit the post? Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So our singular opportunity is gone. We don't get 2, right? And now we're on opportunity number 2, which is that catch off of the post and score, right? In NCAA, we're good, right? We're totally good. And for you rule hounds out there, Vernon got mad because I got this and I said, and we reset to 60 and then we throw the goal up to really say that we understand. Coach, we got them both. We're good here. We had one of those the other. You didn't reset it. You scored, coach, but you had the 60. You see, my hands in the air, right? No problem. All right, 3. A1 has the ball in its offensive half of the field. B1 pushes A1, flag down. B2 slashes A1, second flag down. This sounds familiar. A1 is now at the top of the goal area, passes the ball to A2, standing in the goal area above GLE. A2 drops the pass, then picks it up from the ground, shoots and scores. NFHS, is there a scoring opportunity over?
Yes, as soon as he drops the pass.
Yep, I would agree. We're over. The post or that ground kills it, right? If we take a bounce pass or bounce shot, different story, right? Bounce pass, you got to use your discretion. We don't see a lot of them out there, right? But if you see that bounce pass and you can deem it intentional, we might be okay, right? Within that, and again, you got to make sure you're seeing that intention.
So let me
NCAA.
just,
Go ahead.
okay, yeah, let me just add one thing. If you want references in the rule book to these scenarios, you want page 89, 782 situation C. That's what you want to go over. That's what defines what's a scoring play and when it ends. So again, page 89, 7.8.2 situation C.
All right, so we're moving to a different one here. A1 receives a non-releasable USC in the first period. Then A1 receives another non-releasable USC in the third period. And under NFHS, what's our ruling?
Ejected.
And what is the second penalty? What's the first
3
penalty?
minutes?
What's the, yep,
Oh.
this first one can be a minute. The second one on an ejection becomes a 3-minute. A little weird caveat within there, but on that
Served
ejection,
by in home.
yeah, within that scenario, right, John? I would
Yep.
go in home for that
Yep.
last one, yeah, because that player is ejected within that. In that scenario, you can get the in home. Don't go overly bananas to start, if that makes sense, right? It's similar. This is where I do go to hockey as the reference of if that player receives a game ejection and is super hot, is screaming, yelling, don't make a massive scene about it. Get the player out of there, right? And then again, we'll probably have another dead ball, hopefully in that scenario, right? Get a player to serve, try to get it to be the in-home, understand the level. If this is a JV game, coaches get somebody in the box, right? For that player. Don't overly worry about chasing players down, especially again, think of a second unsportsmanlike conduct. We're talking something super serious. He MF'd you twice to your face, right? Or we're talking worse than that. Right. So these are bad scenarios. Don't and if that player doesn't have the capability, they're an away team and they're going to sit on that bench and not be able to go to the bus. Don't overly complicate your life. Right. Just get somebody in there in a varsity level. Say, hey, coach, you're in home 13. Please come serve. Right. In NCAA, what do we have? Two USCs. Do we have an ejection?
No.
We do not. I got this wrong, so I know this forever now. So it's not at all. We all thought it was because we just thought it was like that thing that occurred. It's not. You can get as many 1 minute on sportsmanlike conducts as you like until you become disqualified with your 5 minutes. And so you can get 5 of them. I know that was a bad way of saying it, but you can technically
And
get all
just
5 if you want.
to
Yep.
reiterate on that one, that's different than if it's a coach who's getting a second non-releasable on sportsmanlike. So just, sort that through.
Yep. And remember, we went over that earlier, way back when. All right, last one. A1 passes the ball to A2. A2 is in the offensive alley between the restraining line and GLE, jumps into the air to catch the pass. A2 calls a timeout while airborne and then lands out of bounds. Do we give the timeout in NFHS?
Yes,
Why?
You are where you were.
yeah, it's where you were last were. Yeah. I'm using correct English, yes.
All right, and then
Wait.
NCAA.
Offensive alley between restraining line. He's below the restraining line. I'd
Yeah.
say, yeah, right?
So
So-
Vernon did a lot of extra research and reading for this one. Is it specifically states in NCAA, not that this will ever occur except for the next game that you do that's NCAA rules. A player who is airborne may never call a timeout or may not call a timeout for proper English
For live ball.
for a live ball. Yeah. So who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Huh.
Remember the other
they don't-
quick mechanic with timeouts, head coach or any player on the field may call our timeouts in NFHS. So smart players will call their own timeouts and smarter players will call timeouts for their teammates that are in trouble. Realize the scenario. When poles are clearing the ball, when goalies have the ball, and when teams are trailing, or if there's runs, right? 5 goals just let up, they finally get the ball. Those are our timeout scenarios. Be aware of it. Appreciate those of you who are on. I know a lot of you texted and said you're working and stuff like that. So people listening, we missed you. Thanks for hanging out this long. Again, we tried to be a little bit quicker for you. This was definitely the larger meat and potatoes, the NCAA, and this one for you. There was a lot of different things to go over. We're gonna have some more fun topics, if you will. We got a couple guest speakers coming up for the next 3, so we'll announce those speakers along with the different topics again Monday at 7:30, and we'll kind of rein those back into about 30-minute segments at this point. Again, this was a lot, and we appreciate you hanging out. Have a wonderful week. If you need anything, continue to text, call, email, or carrier pigeon Vernon and I. We love it, and we love the fact that you guys are so engaged. And we'll stay on a little bit longer if you guys do have questions. Thanks, guys.
You want to stop the recording at this point?